Hey everybody, and thanks for tuning into Woodcrest Bonsai. Today I want to feature 5 Chinese elm that I grew from seed. They're all in the same pot, but they all have a little bit different characteristics, but they also have some similarities. I collected the seed from these guys in November of 2022. This is a variety where the seed ripens in the fall, but it also needs to germinate right then and there. It does not have any winter dormancy. So I planted the seed in a seed tray and let them all come up, and then I selected the healthiest, largest ones, put them into these training pots, which actually look like a bonsai pot, but they're plastic. They work well because when you're ready to repot, if you go to a pot that's just about the same size as this guy, the amount of roots you have to cut is minimal. In 2023, after I took them out of the seed tray and put them into these individual pots, I let them grow completely unchecked. Didn't trim them or prune them at all. But then in the spring of 2024, I cut them all way back. So imagine this guy coming straight up, because they grow very straight, and I cut it back to here. And all this new growth is now 2024. And I have not done anything with it. And since we got all that rain from Debbie, because I've had to wait, I think, 4 days, because it just kept raining, and it looks like it might even rain again. So we have a lot of new growth. You can see that kind of, well, maybe not. Let me see if I can do it like this. Bring this down like this. You can see the red, the new red. That's brand new growth just within the past couple of days. So one thing about these guys is they're getting a little bit top heavy and they're starting to fall over, but I'm still going to try to hold off pruning them. Let them just continue to grow. Now the scar here has healed pretty well, and there's a slight bit of reverse taper because this guy grew here and thickened up the trunk right here, but it's actually pretty decent. So I may actually cut this whole thing in the spring of 2025 to right there, and that will create tremendous taper, and it'll have that little crook, but that won't be of any consequence. And then use this guy as the leader and take all the rest of this off. So this is how you create movement and taper. And elm trees don't really, if they grow naturally, have either. They grow very straight, very long. You can see from the new growth right here, this new growth from here all the way up, it's virtually perfectly straight. And elm trees also have a lot of apical dominance, so they want to continue to grow up and up and up and up. It does have some side shoots, but all the new growth that I just showed you is all on the top here. There's really no new growth on the side shoots. So that's number one. Number two is very similar. It was cut a little bit higher, and there's kind of a scar here, and I don't quite know how that happened. But as you can see, it produced some auxiliary limbs, but the main growth just goes up and up and up and up. This thigh is about 3 feet high, and once again, brand new growth at the apex. So right now I've got the pot skewed, and we have really nice movement. Very little reverse taper. So I could conceivably take this tree in the spring of 2025 and cut it to about there. I may leave some of these lower limbs, but not all of them, as sacrifice branches, because if you leave all of them, you're going to get a big glob right there. You're going to get a big blob. But that could be a very nice tree right there. Up and then back, and then allow that to grow. So sometimes this letting it grow without ever trimming it for a whole year and then cutting it way back, that can occur 3, 4, or 5 times, which means you've already got a 3 or 4 or 5-year-old tree before you really even begin to style it. What typically happens though is in the next cutback, when I do this, I will be able to begin to choose some branching. So it's not like after 4 or 5 years you end up with nothing. So this is done well. Number 3 has some problems. It's died in some places. This branch right here is dead. So we're going to cut it off way back to here. And then this branch here is dead too. So we're going to cut it off to here. And the scar where it was cut back did not heal well. So I'm going to do my best backhanded to chop that off there. And then we also have another scar right here, which has created some reverse taper. So this tree is probably a B tree or a C tree. I can probably work with that. Or if it just really becomes really ugly and I don't like it, I could chop it back even, back down to here and start over. There's nothing wrong with doing that in my book. Number 4 is a little bit odd because it really didn't grow with a huge apex. It grew 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, about 8 or 10 branches, all very similar thickness. And we do have an apex, obviously. And here's the cut again. And this is another case where the cut really did not heal well. Left a piece of dead, so I'm going to cut that off. But this tree, once again, has a very nice taper. If we change the front, then we have the movement. Leaving all of these branches on right here, these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, will once again form a huge thickening of the trunk right there, which will create reverse taper. So in the spring, I'm going to cut that off too. And then last, but well, maybe last and least, as far as size, is we have our runt. So you wonder to yourself, how in the world did that thing not grow the way the other 4 did? That's a good question. We have had some soil that eroded, but sometimes, the genetics, once again, these are trees from seed. This seed just may not have been all that healthy, and the tree certainly isn't all that healthy. And even the apex has already died. It could also be culture. Maybe there's a micro problem in the soil. You just never know. I mix my own soil, so maybe there was something wrong, something in that part of the soil. It's really hard to tell. Pull these weeds here. So is this guy a cull where I'm going to throw it away? Absolutely not, because it can make a very interesting shohin. The other 4 will probably end up being 10 or 12 inches as bonsai, maybe even bigger than that. And this guy, if he's not that big, it could still make a decent tree. Even though I just cut off the dead leader, if we go like this, we still have some decent movement. And we even have a first main branch, if we're looking here to this guy. So just because it's small, and certainly what you would call a runt, doesn't mean that it can't make a decent bonsai. Smaller and less vigorous, but I'm still going to keep it and see what we're up against. So those are Chinese elm, and that's my technique I use. This is year 2. Let it grow without ever chopping it for year 1. Chop it way back and let the year 2 growth grow without ever chopping it back. Year 3, cut back 90% of that growth, and then let it do it again 2, 3, 4, 5 years. And then you've got the beginnings of a nice tree that you can style and turn into a bonsai with decent taper and decent movement, and you can start to select your branches. So I just wanted to show you on these elms, which have a lot of apical dominance, just that technique. So thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up, and you can subscribe if you are curious about how these guys are going to develop over the next couple of years. And sometimes what happens is a tree will develop to a point where I might pull it out and say, you know, I'm gonna really work this tree more than just letting it grow crazy, and so you could get a tree even earlier. So that's it for this video. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Subscribe and hit the notification. You'll be able to watch further every time I do an update on these guys. Leave a comment, and the likes, subscriptions, and the comments get the word out. Send my channel to people. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.